Remember that I am the one always give you mighty power. Be your supporter. There is no time for you to linger, perfect your character. Kindly enlighten others. Teacher is your big shoulder. Company's with you forever. Remember that I am the one always give you mighty power. Be your supporter. There is no time for you to linger, perfect your character. Kindly enlighten others. Teacher is your big shoulder. Company's with you forever.
Thank you, Linda, for your kind words. Thank you. First of all, I would like to extend my warmest welcome to all the brothers and sisters from Taiwan and from overseas. Thank you for your participation for today's sharing. And before I begin, my heartfelt gratitude to the grace of heaven, the great virtues of our holy teachers, and the merciful guidance of our Lao Qianren and Qianren in heaven. And thank you, masters and fellow lecturers, for granting me this opportunity to share the Analects in this online course. And tonight, my topic is Tao and True Nature in the Analects. About the Analects is also known as the Analects of Confucius, or the saying of Confucius. Is an ancient Chinese text comprising a vast collection of sayings and ideas attributed to the revered ancient philosopher Confucius. And the Analects consists of 20 chapters with a total of 492 verses. And from the preface to the holy revelation of the Analects, one of the prefaces was given by our holy teacher, 在《论语圣训》的序第2篇 our holy teachers praised for the Analects. Our holy teacher said, the Analects is a treasure vessel of salvation, which means the Analects can save the world. And it can reorganize the ethical frameworks, latitude and longitude. Ethical frameworks, latitude and longitude, that means if human society is a building, then ethical principles are the beams and pillars of that building. Beams and pillars support the entire structure of the building. And if these beams and pillars break, the entire building will collapse. A modern society is chaotic because people neglect foundational moral principles. The Analects can reinforce these principles. The Analects tells us how important moral principles are. And Holy Teacher continued to expound. The Analects serves as the model of truth, goodness, and beauty inherent to our true nature. Truth, goodness, and beauty, 真善美. The Analects is the model of truth, goodness, and beauty. Truth, goodness, and beauty are innate to our true nature, yet sentient beings may not always grasp how these qualities can beautifully manifest in our daily lives. And the Analects serve as a guide, illuminating the virtuous behaviors that reflect the essence of 真善美 in our everyday existence. And Holy Teacher said, the Analects is an unwavering figure in the turbulent world. Unwavering figure, 不倒翁. 不倒翁 emphasized the stability and enduring influence of the Analects because truth stands firm, 真理屹立不摇. So the Analects is an unwavering figure in this turbulent world. And it is the spokesperson for propagating the great Tao. This is very practical. If we want to propagate Tao, although we know that the teachings of various religions can be used to explain Tao, since the sages of different faiths initially transmitted the same Tao. But if we preach scriptures of Buddhism to Christian believers, or if we preach the verses in the Bible to Buddhist practitioners, might not be easily accepted. However, if we speak of the Analects to everyone, it will be universally accepted because we are all human beings. And the principles of filial piety, the love and respect toward our parents, and the love among siblings, and the importance of trustworthiness between friends can be embraced, can be accepted by all. Now look at the holy revelation of 万世经中. We know as the so-called 钟, the bell is to awaken people. So 万世经中 is to awaken sentient beings. Okay, so to awaken sentient beings means to propagate Tao. So we can see the 本训, the original holy revelation within the 万世经中. You can see many verses, many phrases, many words are actually quoted from Confucian school, actually quoted from Confucian texts, especially the four books. So actually, Confucian texts, the verses in the Confucian text, the philosophy of Confucius actually is very practical because it can be accepted by everyone. And Holy Teacher continued to expound the importance of the Analects. To rectify the deteriorating social climate and save the world, it is imperative, it is very urgent to employ the Analects as a bulwark against the influence of heresies. If heresy, 邪说异端, is like tide, rising tide, like 潮水, then the Analects is like 防波堤, bulwark against the influence of heresies. And the Analect can correct moral decay in people's hearts, can prevent the emergence of distorted trends contrary to human ethics. The so-called distorted trends contrary to human ethics typically refer to the violation of filial piety, such as not showing proper love and care to one's parents, or even do something to harm them. Occasionally, we hear such tragic cases in the news, but I don't want to because 不忍心讲太多这些逆伦的事件啊。And Holy Teacher said the Analects can prevent the emergence of distorted trends contrary to human ethics. And the Analects can safeguard the proper order of human society to prevent disorderly actions. In doing so, Holy Teacher said, in doing so, that means in learning and following the guidance of the Analects, may all aspire to become saints and sages. Holy Teacher hoped that all of his disciples can one day become saints and sages. Holy Teacher said, if you cannot become saints and sages immediately, at least you are still on the right track. You are still on the path towards such noble enlightenment. So you can see how important, the importance of learning and following the guidance of the Analects. And there are two prefaces to the holy revelations of the Analects. 论语圣训有2篇的序. The first preface was given by Confucius. And in the preface to the holy revelation of the Analects, Confucius said, my entire life had indeed been dedicated to openly sharing knowledge, 名传诗书, through poetry and literature, while silently transmitting Tao, 暗传道. So Confucius is also one of the patriarchs in Tao lineage. That's why we can find few verses hinting at Tao and true nature as testimonies to the preciousness of Tao. And furthermore, the principles of ethics and virtues, 伦理道德, in the Analects are most needed in White-Yang era. The teachings are never outdated and can be accepted by people all over the world, regardless of their nationalities, languages, cultures, or religions, because the Analects is the spokesperson for propagating the great Tao. It's just like our Grand Senior Elder, our Lao Qianren, always said when His Holiness was with us, His Holiness always encouraged us that if we want to propagate Tao to the whole world, it's best to preach Confucian philosophy first, because everyone has parents, so everyone can comprehend the importance, the touching essence of filial piety. Most people have siblings, so we can feel the love between siblings. So that's why Confucian philosophy, especially the Analects, is the spokesperson for propagating the great Tao. And in many holy revelations, 在很多的训文里面哦, Buddhas and holy teachers have encouraged us to study, share, and practice the teachings of the 4 books. That's why in this online series, we have 6 sessions. And within this year, we have arranged 6 sessions, and 3 of them are expounding the Analects, and 3 of them are expounding the great learning. Okay. So we can see in many holy revelations, Buddhas and holy teachers encourage us to learn and practice the teachings of the 4 books, starting from the Analects. So in this series of courses on classical texts, we have 6 sessions on selected readings from the Analects. 3 sessions will be in this year, and another 3 will be in next year. And within this year, from July to December, we will have 3 sessions on the Analects and 3 sessions on the great learning. 3堂论语, 3堂大学. Okay. And within the session expounding the Analects, we will discuss selected readings from the Analects. And the selected readings from the Analects, the passages, categorized into 6 major themes. They were selected by our Tao Center. And the 6 themes are, number 1, Tao and true nature. Number 2, propriety and Ren. Number 3, filial piety and fraternal respect. Number 4, conduct and virtue of a 君子行仪. Number 5, conduct and virtue of Confucius, 孔子行仪. Number 6, disciples of Confucius, 孔门弟子行仪. Okay, so tonight we will start from Tao and true nature. Okay, the first passage for tonight. Tao cannot be expressed in words. In chapter 17, verse 19, Confucius said, the master said, I would prefer not to speak. And then the great disciple Zigong said, if you, master, do not speak, what shall we, your disciples, have to record? Because we need to take notes. If you do not say anything, then we have nothing to take note. We have nothing to record. And the master said, does heaven speak? The 4 seasons follow their courses, and all things are continually produced. But does heaven say anything? Then Zigong was speechless. Okay. Why can't Tao be expressed in words? Why? It is like a child who can't see the moon in the sky. So the teacher points to this moon and say, now there is the moon. Then the child sees it. But the finger itself is not the moon. 以指示月, 指非月. Similarly, because sentient beings cannot find their inherent true nature, so the great sage gives them teachings to explore the Tao within. However, words and languages are not Tao itself. 语言全道，言非道。Okay, so the finger cannot touch the moon. The finger isn't the moon itself. The words and language isn't Tao itself. That's why Confucius say, I don't want to say anything. I will prefer not to speak. Confucius said, I would prefer not to speak because he was concerned that people might become too attached to words. Because knowledge itself is not equal to cultivation. A very knowledgeable person is not equal to a well-cultivated person. Okay, so, but in this white young era, we need to propagate Tao universally throughout the world. So we need to preach, not only preach, but we need to speak out loud. Now we are learning English. We are learning to use English to propagate Tao. That's why the English Tao Learning and Studying Center is established by our Tao Center. And that's why we have this online course, because we want to learn how to use English to express Tao. So we need to preach and speak out loud. But Confucius said, I would prefer not to speak. And is there any contradiction? No contradiction at all. While we are preaching Tao, while we are propagating Tao, we need to be mindful that we practice what we preach. That's all. We practice what we preach. Let our words, let our actions be aligned with our words. Okay, I would like to quote this holy teacher's merciful words to resonate with this concept. In the 15th discipline, 在15条佛规里面啊 Holy teacher said, in the era of the last salvation, you must understand that preaching is no longer effective. 在末后的时候讲道已经没有用了Tao is not something to be spoken of, but something to be practiced. How should it be practiced? By using your true nature to display dignified behavior, ensuring that your words and actions conform to Tao, keeping your mind pure and untainted, maintaining thoughts that are neither biased nor evil, and not letting emotions and desires rise and fall. That is the true essence of being dignified, centered, and principled. And the second verse for tonight's session, 子贡 said, 子贡 again, 子贡 said, the master's teaching of his principles may be heard. His guidance on human's true nature and the heavenly Tao cannot be heard. 子贡 meant they could learn from masters Confucius' oral or written teachings, but they couldn't hear him elaborate on Tao and true nature. So you can feel that 子贡 was so close to Confucius, and yet so far. It is mysterious. He was so close and yet so far. Why? Who was 子贡? 子贡's family name was 端木. Given name was 氏, 端木氏. 端木氏, also known by his courtesy name 子贡, was born in 520 BC, making him 31 years younger than Confucius. And he was one of the most important and loyal disciples of Confucius, counted among the 10 great disciples, 10哲之一. After Confucius passed away, all his disciples observed a mourning period for 3 years. 3年守丧, stayed by the tomb. But when it was time to say goodbye, only 子贡 remained by the tomb and guarding it for another 3 years. It was so touching. And this shows the deep bond between a master and a disciple, 这个师徒之情, as well as the utmost respect 子贡 had for his master, 尊师, 真是尊师的典范. He truly exemplified the virtues of respecting teachers. And among Confucius' students, 子贡 was second only to 宰我 in eloquence. So we all know that 言语 宰我子贡. So Zigong was very good at speech. And additionally, Zigong was a prominent diplomat. He was a successful statesman. He was a prominent diplomat of the spring and autumn period, holding high official positions in several states, and was also renowned as a wealthy businessman. So he was wealthy, powerful, talented, but humble. That was Zigong. But he said, the master's teachings of his disciples may be heard, and his guidance on humans' true nature and the heavenly Tao cannot be heard. Because Tao is beyond words. People cannot understand Tao merely through reading books or listening to lectures. And during Confucius' time, Tao was transmitted on a one-to-one basis. From what we understand, only 2 out of the 3,000 students have received Tao. And it is no surprise that even a great talent like Zigong did not receive it. And that's why he expressed such regret. Today, we all have the opportunity to receive Tao. But back then, even someone as talented as Zigong could only lament that he didn't have the chance. And this category, Tao and True Nature, is named because of this passage, because of Zigong's words. So we have this category, Tao and True Nature. Okay, the third passage for tonight. The master said, people are born with similar nature, but their habits and personalities are diverse. Similar nature means, this nature means our true nature. All of us, we were originally children of God. 我们都是老母的儿女, or children of Heavenly Mother, with the same true nature. We have the same true nature. But due to the results of reincarnation, our attachments to the environment and material world have a very significant influence on our personalities and habits. And the stronger our attachments are, the deeper our illusions are. So this even extends to diverse consequences, the cycles of the 4 births and the 6 paths of reincarnation. 习相远，远到什么程度呢？远到4生6道。本来都是圆佛子，同样的自信，但是后来变成4生6道 so diverse. But in this final phase of salvation, Heavenly Mother wants all her children to return home. That's why the universal propagation of Tao is allowed. Okay, the 4th verse for tonight's presentation. This will be a little bit longer, a little bit lengthy, okay, because we will talk a lot about the 3 aspects of this passage. The master said, having received guidance to constantly and repeatedly practice what you have learned, is this not a source of pleasure? What does that mean? That means no matter what we are learning, whether it is a skill, you learn to do something, or you learn some philosophy, it is knowledge. We gain knowledge through study. We study and then we gain knowledge. However, it is only through continuous practice that we can truly develop real skills or understand the essence of cultivation and find the true pleasure of learning. So without practice, what we have learned are merely knowledge. But with continuous practice, then we can transform the knowledge into real skills. And in terms of cultivation, we can transform the knowledge into to elevate our spiritual level. Okay. So this passage can be explored in three aspects. Confucius continued to expound, is it not delightful to have friends coming from afar? Is he not a man of noble character who does not feel upset though other people might not understand him? So we can discuss the 3 aspects of this passage. The first aspect is to constantly and repeatedly practice what we have learned, 学而时习. To constantly and repeatedly practice what we have learned. The master said, having received guidance to constantly and repeatedly practice what you have learned, it is not a source of pleasure. So now Confucius point out the secret of happy learning is to constantly and repeatedly practice. Whatever you are learning, if you find your learning is boring, then probably you can try this to constantly and repeatedly practice. Probably you can find the secret of happy learning. Okay, because practice makes perfect. But please note that we practice that we want to achieve perfection, but please note that it is important to value the process of practicing rather than just aiming for perfection. And this way, when we value the process, 我们珍惜练习的过程，而不是一直要追求完美的目标。如果我可以珍惜这个练习的过程呢 ，this way, learning and practicing will be less stressful. And the joy comes from being able to see our progress during the process of practicing. To practicing what we have learned, we become more and more efficient and our performance will become better and better, and then we will have more confidence, and then we will find the pleasure of learning. Okay. And even the great genius Thomas Edison believed that success must be achieved through continuous effort. He famously said, genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So this quote is often used to emphasize the importance of hard work, the 99% perspiration. So when we see someone with incredible skills, whether it is in sports, music, or something else, we might think, wow, I could never do that. But what we often don't see are the countless hours and years they've spent perfecting their craft. They faced many challenges and setbacks along the way, but they kept going. Over time, their skills improved and they began to shine. And eventually, they are standing on stage, showcasing their hard-earned mastery to the world. And it's all a matter of practice. Now I want to share a fable from ancient China about 1,000 years ago by the philosopher Ouyang Shou in Song Dynasty that conveys the same message. Any skill can be learned. It is simply a matter of practice. The fable title is called The Archer and the Oil Merchant. Well, you may already read this story before, but let's just review it once again. There once lived a man who was an excellent archer. He could shoot an arrow with such precision that he would hit the target. Then with another arrow, split the first one in half. He traveled from village to village, showcasing his remarkable skills. Every time he performed, the villagers would gather amazed and applauding at the spectacle they had never witnessed before. But one day, he arrived in a small village. He drew his bow, released the arrow, and the crowd erupted in applause. As the villagers finished applauding, then a voice from the back of the crowd spoke out. He said, it's simply a matter of practice. And this really bothered the archer. He was proud of his talent and didn't like hearing that it was just practice. So after his show, he marched to the back of the crowd to confront the man. To his surprise, the man was carrying pots of oil to sell. 居然是一个卖油郎. And feeling a bit offended, the archer asked, how dare you say it's only practice? Look at me. I'm famous for my incredible aim. But the man with oil simply smiled and replied, It's only a matter of practice. Now, let me show you. So the oil merchant pulled out a bottle, placed a coin with a hole in it on top of the bottle, and skillfully poured the oil from its pot through the small hole without spilling a single drop. And turning to the archer, he challenged, "Now it's your turn." And of course, the archer didn't even try. He understood that it truly was a matter of practice. So the point of this story is that by focusing on practicing a certain skill, one can become an expert in that field. So the master archer, despite his incredible talent, he had to acknowledge that his achievements were simply the results of practice. Similarly, the wandering old man, with his remarkable skill in pouring oil, had achieved it through months and years of practice. The master archer may have thought of himself as a genius, but upon witnessing the old man's oil pouring skill, he realized that all such incredible abilities come from practice. So the moral of the story is, if you want to excel in something, dedicate yourself to practicing it consistently. Talent alone is not enough. It is the effort and dedication to practice that count, that truly leads to mastery. And the above is only the surface explanation of this quote. 学而时习之，不亦说乎? Isn't it a source of pleasure to constantly and repeatedly practice what you have learned? 这还只是表面的意思而已哦。There is a deeper meaning in terms of restoring our true nature. 因为我们要谈到自信啊，所以这一章跟自信很有关系啊。I would like to quote our holy teacher's holy revelation. The extraordinary value of learning Tao, 学道之殊胜. In the beginning of this holy revelation, holy teacher said, the character 学 shares the same upper part as the character 觉. And the lower part of the character 学 actually represents a baby. And 觉 actually means awakened. So 学道, learning Tao is about awakening the innocence of a child's heart. 所以学道就是让自己的赤子之心觉醒 to awaken the innocence, our innocent childlike hearts. And 学而时习, then about 习. This character 习, the original meaning of the character 习means birds learning to fly by flapping its wings repeatedly. You can find it in 说文解字. 习 means 鸟硕飞. 鸟硕飞 means birds learning to fly by flapping its wings repeatedly. We know birds are born to fly, but they need to practice repeatedly in order to find their inherent nature to fly, right? And we are all humans. Human beings are born to walk or run. We can walk and run. But when we were toddlers, if we don't learn to walk, if we don't learn to stand up and then learn to take a step forward, then we can never walk, not to mention to run. So even to reveal our inherent nature, we need to practice. So similarly, all sentient beings, we know all sentient beings will eventually attain Buddhahood. 众生毕竟成佛. But how can we become enlightened if we do not constantly repent, contemplate our true nature, and correct our faults and control our temper? How can we attain Buddhahood? So 习, the character 习, can be extended in some way to practice from 鸟硕飞 to practice repeatedly so as to reveal the inherent talent and master a skill. In terms of cultivation, 就修行而言, to repeatedly practice to reveal our inherent true nature and become enlightened. And the upper part of the character Xi means feather, Yu means feather. And this feather reminds us of angel's wings. What's an angel? The definition of an angel. An angel is a spiritual being believed to act as a messenger. An angel is a messenger of God, conventionally represented as having a human form with wings for flying. And why can angels fly? Have you ever thought about that? Why angels have wings? Why can they fly? Because they are not heavy. They are not heavy. And how do we interpret this principle when applied to us? We, as White Yang era cultivators, 白杨修士, we have been diligently spreading the messages of Heavenly Mother. 我们都在努力度人，不是吗? Aiming to guide people to receive Tao. All of us are striving to be messengers of God. And as angels in the White Yang era, we must fly. We must soar above the turbulent seas of suffering into the vast blue sky, liberated from all worldly attachments, beyond the billowing white clouds, and ascend directly towards heaven. 就像庄子里头那只大鹏鸟一样。In order to rescue as many of our brothers and sisters as possible, we must fly and fulfill the duties of an angel. The phrase 学而时习 signifies that we must learn to fly repeatedly, consistently, every moment of every hour, every day of our lives. So what does it mean to be able to fly? To fly, of course, not to fly an airplane or a helicopter. To fly means to transcend worldly attachments, to overcome all obstacles. And this describes the spiritual liberation and transcendence of the mind. That means to fly. So look at the picture. Can he fly? Of course not. He can't fly because his burden is so heavy. He is weighed down by the enormous rut, let alone to fly. And what does this burden come from? Where does it come from? What are the causes of the burden? Because life is as challenging as the sea, filled with sufferings, 人生苦海. And each person carries their own karma and negative tendencies. 每一个人都有业障. And also their bad habits. And these internal negative tendencies, bad habits, and external negative karma all contribute to the burden of life. And if we wish to soar, we must first shed our burdens. So how to shed our burdens? How do we let go of the burden? Through cultivation, we learn to release all attachments. We learn to introspect and uncover our true nature, and allowing the spiritual light to dispel the darkness within our minds. 一灯能破千年，能除千年暗，一字能灭万年云。Let our spiritual light to dispel the darkness. We no longer governed by greed, anger, or ignorance, and we can expand our minds to help others. This is internal virtues, to cultivate our internal virtues. And then how about external merits? By spreading the Tao and accumulating external merits, we can settle our karmic debts. 偿还业债要外公啊. So thus, through cultivating internal virtues and establish external merits, our burdens will lighten and we can begin to soar. We can become more lighthearted, more peaceful, and more enlightened. And the moment we can fly, we transform into true angels. So let go of the burdens so we can fly freely in the sky. We need to rid ourselves of burdens to be carefree. Okay, that's the first aspect of 学而时习. And the second aspect is 有朋自远方来, delightful to have friends coming from afar. Holy Teacher once said, to cultivate Tao is to go on a journey back home. And when we are enjoying the beauty of our homeward journey, we warmly welcome Tao members as if they were long lost friends. Actually, they are long lost brothers and sisters. So we warmly that's warmly welcome each other. Let's warmly welcome our Tao members, because all of us really are long lost brothers and sisters. And once lost and weary from wandering in the reincarnation, now we discover the golden path and walk on the path of Tao. But each of us has our own affinities and circumstances. 但是每一个人又各有他的因缘呢。Everyone is doing our best. 每一个人都是在尽自己最大努力，不是吗？ So that there be no competition between Tao brothers and sisters. That there be no competition, no resentment, only mutual support and assistance. Let's lift each other up, cheer each other on, and never discourage others from moving forward. That's the meaning. I mean, that's my insights on the meaning of delightful to have friends coming from afar. Okay, the third aspect, not feeling upset despite not being understood. 人不知而不愠. Not feeling upset when others do not understand you can be interpreted in various ways, a lot of different interpretation. But generally speaking, it refers to the experience of having one's talents go unrecognized. 但是最通俗的一个解释就是怀才不遇的时候应该怎么办 Okay, and so it's the general explanation. And in a broader sense, 广义的来说 it can encompass all forms of being misunderstood, including facing harsh criticism, defamation, and being slandered or unjustly blamed without an opportunity to clarify. Okay, so 一切别人对我们的误解，甚至无法澄清，这个都是人不知啊。But we just simplify and focus specifically on the feeling of talents going unrecognized. 但是我们要讲，我们就把它就针对这个怀才不遇方面哦。Okay, I would like to share with you Holy Teacher's merciful words. Holy Teacher say, when you feel like your talents are not recognized in the Tao community, do not be discouraged. As long as you have the determination, heaven will surely help you. You must tell yourself that regardless of whether you are valued, 有没有被看重, by your seniors or by the public, it's not important. We need to do our best to fulfill our aspirations, to fulfill 立愿了愿，这个才是重点。有没有被看重不重要啊。So when you have this kind of feeling, do not get frustrated, do not be discouraged. We know heaven will help us as long as we have the determination. And talk more about 怀才不遇. Talents going unrecognized actually is not uncommon in history or even in today's world. Confucius himself is a very good example of 怀才不遇. Confucius was wise, virtuous, and highly talented. He traveled around the various states for 14 years, 周游列国14年, to realize his ideals of governance, 要实现他的理想啊。And benefit the people, but in the end, he did not receive recognition from any ruler. But Was Confucius discouraged? Of course not. Confucius even 陈蔡绝粮 during the 7 days of 陈蔡绝粮, he was playing the musical instrument and sing. He was singing. The external environment could not affect his happiness, his inner joy, because Confucius understood very well that a 君子 means person of noble character. Confucius understands very well that a 君子, when circumstances allow, a 君子 can achieve great merit in benefiting the world. That means 一个君子达则兼善天下. And when faced with adversity, 穷则, at the very least, the 君子 will uphold personal integrity and continue to cultivate himself. 穷则独善其身. So we need to realize that our abilities, our talents, our wisdom belong to us. The abilities, talents, and wisdom can be obtained through personal effort and cultivation. Thus, these are within our control. Our abilities, talents, and wisdom are within our control. But whether other people appreciate or utilize our abilities, talents, or wisdom or not will depend on various external factors such as 天时地利人和, timing, location, and people. And 天时地利人和 cannot be controlled by ourselves. So timing, location, and people are beyond our control. So 要看开一点啊. So for a person of noble character, with such broad-mindedness, external applause 外在的掌声呢, or neglect 外在的忽视就是宠入 external applause or neglect cannot affect their inner joy. And so how then could they become upset? 那他们宠辱不惊的话，又怎么会人不知而生气呢? How then could they become upset due to their talents going unrecognized? Okay, to review this, the master said, having received guidance to constantly and repeatedly practice what you have learned, is this not a source of pleasure? Actually, this passage is the first verse of the first chapter in the Analects. 这是论语当中的第一篇中的第一章. So the first verse of the first chapter actually summarizes the entire Analects, presenting the core themes of Confucian teachings right at the beginning. 所以开宗明义就把整个论语的精髓都呈现出来。Okay, so having received guidance to constantly and repeatedly practice what you have learned means to restore our true nature. Restoring one's true nature brings joy to the heart. Okay, and is it not delightful to have friends coming from afar? Means finding long-lost brothers and sisters is an incredibly joyous and heartwarming experience. So the first one is internal cultivation, and the second one is external propagation of doubt. And the third one is he not a man of noble character who does not feel upset, though other people may not understand him? Not feeling upset, though not being understood. That means when it comes to wealth, poverty, success, or failure, when it comes to 富贵、贫富或穷通，就是富贵或者是贫贱，或者是很通达，或者是很失败啊。When it comes to wealth, poverty, success, or failure in the human world, we simply follow the course of nature, 就听其自然。Because external applause or neglect, 因为外在的宠辱 cannot affect the inner joy of a 君子. So be a true cultivator. Be a 君子. Okay, the fifth passage for tonight. Confucius said, if at dawn you receive Tao, you can face death at dusk without regrets. So literally, this means that if at dawn you receive Tao, it's okay to die at dusk. That literally means that. In ancient times, people cultivated themselves first in order to be qualified to receive Tao. 古时候是先修后得. So this is at dawn, Taipei 101 at dawn, and this is Taipei 101 at dusk. And because receiving Tao can help us transcend the cycle of birth and death, so no doubt about it. In ancient times, 先修后得. If received Tao at dawn, no doubt about it, they can face death at dusk without regrets. Wow, what about present days? At present days, people receive Tao first. 我们是先得后修. People receive Tao first, then begin to cultivate. So there are two different situations. The first one is one receives Tao shortly before passing away. So we can find cases in our Tao community when our friends or relatives, they are severely sick, and we ask, some even ask 点传师 to go into the hospital, and with the permission of the hospital to transmit Tao to the almost very, very sick friend, or even ask for leave to leave the hospital and to quickly receive Tao in the temple. So if one receives Tao shortly before passing away, what will happen? If they remember the three treasures, of course, upon returning to heaven, remember the three treasures, sure, they would return to heaven, but they need to continue to cultivate and assist in propagating Tao, to establish outer merits and to accumulate internal virtues. However, the merits and virtues of one day's cultivation on earth will require much longer time in heaven to achieve. 但是在人间所修一天呢，在天上要修办很久。So we had better stay as long as possible after receiving Tao to accumulate enough internal virtues and external merits. Besides, if received Tao shortly before passing away, if that person not the spiritual level not stable enough, they might need to undergo many trials in heaven. So 一切都是公平的。And the second situation would be if one receives Tao long before departing from this world, like all of us, like you and me, we must fulfill our vows with unwavering perseverance and resilience. 因为盖棺论定嘛，persisting until the very last breath. Failing to persist until the end will still prevent one from returning to heaven. So, 朝闻道，夕死可. Okay, the sixth passage for tonight. The master said, "Son, my Tao is that of an all-pervading unity." The disciple Zhen replied, "Yes." So who was Zhen? Sun. Zhensen, in Confucius' time, Tao was transmitted on a one-to-one basis, which means that one patriarch could only transmit Tao to one of his disciples, who then became the next patriarch. 圣圣相传. And Confucius first transmitted Tao to Yan Hui, who passed away at a very young age. So Confucius then selected another disciple, Zhensen, to be his successor in the Tao lineage. And Zhensen was also revered as Zhenzi, where Zi was a respectful address, means master. Okay, so Zhenzi replied, "Yes." And when Confucius went out, the other students asked, what was the master referring to? And Zhenzi said, "The Tao of our master is loyalty and forgiveness. This and nothing more." To our understanding, only 2 out of the 3,000 students received Tao, and Zhensen was one of the outstanding 2. So of course he replied yes, because he knew the heavenly secret. So within this passage, we have two aspects to discuss. The first aspect is 无道一以贯之. My Tao is that of an all-pervading unity. Now look at this picture. You can see many pearls. Here are some pearls. They might be beautiful on their own, but when they are just scattered around, they don't serve any purpose. They can't become the lovely jewelry that people wear. But if we have a thread to string the scattered pearls together, then a precious necklace or a beautiful ornament is formed. Okay, and this is of course a metaphor to illustrate that as a beginner in learning Tao, all the pearls are scattered around. Just all the sutras and teachings seem to be unorganized, unrelated pieces of knowledge, just like the scattered pearls as a beginner. As time goes by and we truly cultivate Tao by practicing the teachings, gradually we realize that all the sutras are not only related, but all the sutras share the same essence. And so gradually we comprehend the thread, which means our inherent true nature. So we need to truly cultivate Tao by practicing what we have learned. 道真理真天命真修道办道也要真心啊。So we need to truly cultivate Tao by practicing what we have learned, examine our thoughts and behaviors, reflect upon our true self. In doing so, we will discover that all teachings originate from the same truth, which is our true nature. And from there, we can naturally manifest our inherent virtues. The beautiful necklace is then formed. But now we have discussed we have discussed 无道一贯之. My Tao is that of an all-pervading unity. But Zhenzi answered his fellow classmates, said, the Tao of our master is loyalty and forgiveness, this and nothing more. 非常肯定, this and nothing more. And why is that? Why loyalty and forgiveness? Because when other students ask the meaning of 无道一贯之, my Tao is that of an all-pervading unity. Zhenzi answered loyalty and forgiveness. Why? Because other students had not received Tao. And Zhenzi could not reveal the heavenly secret, 天机不可泄露, right? But he needed to provide an answer. So it's a very wise answer. Because what is Tao? Tao, our inherent true nature, is invisible, intouchable, is intangible. We cannot hear, we cannot see, cannot be explained in words because it can only be comprehended by the heart. It is not only invisible, but also beyond the thoughts of the mind. Let's say in Buddhism called 不可思议, cannot be explained, and also beyond the thoughts of the mind. However, its manifestation, the manifestation of Tao, which is the virtues and qualities that emerge from one's true nature, can be explained in words. So Zhenzi was very clever. He explained the manifestation of Tao using two words, 忠 and 恕, loyalty and forgiveness, or we say consideration. Okay, let's see this. 忠, loyalty, be loyal to whom? Not to a person, but to heaven. Where is heaven? 底天 is within our true nature. So be loyal to our true nature. And be loyal to our true nature is a little bit abstract, so can be further expounded as be loyal to our conscience, 忠于自己的良心. Be loyal to our vows, because 愿力是原心嘛. Vows are promises made from original heart. So since we are loyal to our conscience, we will be loyal to our vows. And also be loyal to our core values. Why are we cultivating Tao and propagating Tao? Out of mercy, compassion, and Wu Wei, right? So in propagating Tao, we are not looking for position, fame and fortune, whatever material benefit. That's not what we want. So be loyal to our core values and be loyal to sentient beings. Holy teacher once said, 忠于众生. That's a little bit interesting because usually we will think 众生 is 后学, and 后学应该尊重前贤. Why 前贤 need to be loyal to sentient beings? Well, because sentient beings entrust their spiritual lives to us. When a new Tao receiver comes to the temple, what does he see? He may not see Buddha. I mean, he can see Buddha statue, but he cannot see the miracles of Buddha appear in front of him, right? All he can see, all they can see are humans, all the Tao seniors. And they listen to us. They follow our instruction. They listen to our lectures. So it's like sentient beings entrust their spiritual lives to us. So as a Tao senior, do we cherish them as we cherish our children? 有没有疼惜他们像疼我们的小孩一样呢？ So be mindful of our bad habits and ill temper, because our bad habits and ill temper might have a bad influence on their faith. So be loyal to sentient beings. Well, that's my insights on Zhong. And what about Shu? Shu in Chinese, we say 如心, right? 如心 actually is 同理心, empathy. Empathy. Okay. We may not be able to achieve perfection in one step to attain Shu, but we can take it step by step. The first step is be considerate to others. There's a saying that put yourself in other people's shoes and then walk a mile, that you can see how painful their feet are. Okay, so put yourself in others' shoes. Don't do to others what you don't want others to do to you. Have empathy toward them. And maybe we can think, if I were him, what would I feel? That's the first step. First small step, put yourself in other people's shoes. And then second step, you can learn to forgive. Well, now we're talking about 原谅, talking about forgiving. Some people might say, allow me to explain in Chinese. Some people might say, 你不是当事人呢，谈什么原谅啊？你怎么知道当事人有多苦啊？ So now I'm talking about forgiving. I'm not talking about those very severe harm. 有很多很大的伤害，我们现在避而不谈啊。What we are talking about forgiving are very trivial things in our day-to-day life. Okay, in our day-to-day life that we are dealing with our family members, our loved ones, or our friends, or co-workers, or even the strangers happen to meet on the street. What if you are offended? Just very trivial thing. If you are offended, we don't explode the moment we are offended. Always need to slow down. If we are offended, do self-examination. If we haven't done anything wrong, then we learn to forgive a troubled soul. If someone say unreasonable words to us, to harm us, to without a reason to just to insult us, for example, then probably he or she is very troubled inside. So why not learn to forgive a troubled soul? Okay, so that's about 原谅. And then third step, then we can learn to be more compassionate and then eventually be totally altruistic, like the Bodhisattva, like the Buddhas. So 如心, try to figure out what others might need. We may not always be right, but it's better than not to considering others at all. Some people might think, well, we try to figure out other people might need, 但是我们想的都不是他真的需要的。但是呢， if try to be more considerate, always be considerate, because it's better than not considering other people's need at all. Okay, I'll review this. The master said, Son, my Tao is that of an all-pervading unity. The disciple Zhen replied, yes. The master went out, and the other students asked, what was the master referring to? The wise Zhenzi said, the Tao of our master is loyalty, being loyal to our true nature, and forgiveness, being considerate and forgiving to others, this and nothing more. Loyalty, 内功, forgiveness, 外功. And because the essence of Tao cannot be explained, so Zhenzi explained the manifestation of Tao, and which is the virtues and good qualities of a person who have cultivated very well. Okay, so Zhenzi was really very, very wise. Okay, let's go to the final passage for tonight. The master said, very similar, 子贡 again, 子贡. So you can see 子贡 is so close to Confucius and yet so far. 四, 端木四, 四. Do you consider me to be someone who has learned extensively and retains it all in memory? 子贡 replied, yes. Is that not the case? No, it is not, said the master. I seek a unity that pervades everything. I just string them together with one thread, because we have already explained the pearls and the thread, the essence of Tao, meaning the string of the necklace, the thread to string all the pearls together to form an ornament, to form a necklace. And because the Tao within us is our true nature. Buddhas and sages are those who have completely restored their true nature. Okay, so 佛是已经觉悟的众生，然后众生呢 ordinary people and sentient beings are those whose true nature is obscured by afflictions and attachments. 众生是未悟的佛。So the initiation from our holy teacher reveals to us where our true nature resides. From the day we receive Tao, we start to cultivate and practice Tao. We working on the path of restoring our true nature. That's the right track. And in the journey of cultivating and practicing Tao, we have listened to many teachings and learned much about the principles of Tao. So Confucius asked Zhi Gong, do you consider me to be someone who has learned extensively and retains it all in my memory? Zhi Gong said, yes. Isn't that the case? No. I seek a unity that pervades everything. The answer of Confucius points out a right attitude of a true cultivator. A true cultivator does not accumulate knowledge. Instead, they will practice what they have learned. So these classics and holy revelations have all been delivered by Buddhas and sages from their true nature. 经训都是来自诸佛菩萨的自性 to guide us in restoring our own true nature, 引导我们回归自性 So the purpose of learning these teachings is not for us to accumulate knowledge or showcase one's learning. Besides, understanding these principles alone does not lead to excellent cultivation. Instead, we should take these teachings as guidance to improve ourselves, control our temper, contemplate our true nature, and aspire to restore our true nature ultimately. Very beautiful picture. 光会道中心. So gradually, in doing so, we come to understand that all classics and teachings resonate with our true nature. 所以所有的经训都跟我们的自性产生共鸣。 This is the true meaning of what Confucius said. I seek a unity that pervades everything. I'm not accumulating knowledge. I seek a unity that pervades everything instead of learning extensively and retaining it all in my memory. Review this passage. The master said, "Si," so close and so far. Do you consider me to be someone who has learned extensively and retains it all in memory? Zigong replied, "Yes, isn't that the case?" "No, it is not," said the master. "I seek a unity that pervades everything. I just string them together with one thread." And this concludes my presentation for tonight. Thank you all for your attention and participation. We will now move on to the feedback and sharing session, which will last for 30 minutes. And if I have made any mistakes, I beg for God and Buddha's forgiveness and ask for your understanding and feedback. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts and insights. Thank you. Thank you all very much.